Progressive presents an interview with your upstairs neighbor.
Hey, it's Rick from upstairs. Yeah, I take it seriously. When I play R&B at 1 a.m, that's me saying, hey, I'm here for you. And I enjoy repetitive bass lines. I only use expired batteries in my smoke detectors. Nice, right? Yeah, upstairs neighbors help people forget their troubles. Give them something else to focus on. Ooh, want to see how high I can jump?
Progressive can't save you from your upstairs neighbor.
No, wait, let me try again.
But we can save you money when you bundle renters and auto insurance with us. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Bundle discount not available in all states or situations.
Hi guys, welcome to this week's episode of the Inside Line Formula One podcast. Kunal, so we're fresh from the Red Bull Ring in Austria, and I just have to start by speaking about Red Bull Racing. The RB13 to be specific. You know, they say number 13 is unlucky for some. I think it is very, very, very unlucky for Max Verstappen. He's had 5 out of the 7 past races ending in D and Fs, and they've all been car-related issues or bad luck, accidents.
Yes, and in those very races, Daniil Ricciardo, the ever-smiling Daniil Ricciardo, has scored 5 podiums. That includes a win, an unexpected win that too. And this is probably why Max Verstappen and his team is a little bit more hurt than they should be. And if anything, he is going to come out stronger from this run of bad luck.
Yes, I mean, the fans love him. He's wooed them completely on track. I think it's now time for him to woo Lady Luck.
Again, because he's of
yeah,
course
he had a season last year.
He's of course had a lot of luck even getting into Formula One at that age, because after he got in, the FIA suddenly rose the bar and the age for a driver to get a super license. So he needs to woo his Lady Luck again. And the Red Bull Ring was actually a sea of orange. And I've grown up to actually seeing a sea of red in Formula One for all the Ferrari love that people have.
And yeah, I mean, I'm sure McLaren were thinking that, the sea of orange is for us. But guys, I'm sorry, the sea of orange was for Max Verstappen and not for McLaren.
So there have been very, very strong rumors about Max Verstappen moving to Ferrari in 2018. But Christian Horner has in fact turned around and said that Max Verstappen will be a Red Bull driver till 2019.
I'm already thinking about Max Verstappen and Sebastian Vettel at Ferrari as teammates. That is like a phenomenal, lethal, awesome combination.
So we've said this before and I will say it again. So Toro Rosso is Red Bull Racing's feeder team, and soon it's going to be Red Bull Racing as Ferrari's feeder team.
So on the day after Austria, Christian Horner went ahead and he confirmed Sainz and Kvyat for 2018. Basically, 3 out of 4 Red Bull drivers have been hastily confirmed without an official press release. It's very odd, more so from a team like Red Bull that just loves the paraphernalia around the racing.
And so much for all the Carlos Sainz, Helmut Marko and Christian Horner spat. Because frankly, when I read those comments, I thought Carlos Sainz was dropping a hint that maybe he's signed somewhere else. So Sainz signing somewhere else, if that's what I could play on. But so Helmut Marko, I would think twice before getting into a spat with a guy whose name is Helmut. But he reminded Sainz publicly and told him not to harm the hand that feeds him, because that's what Red Bull Racing has done for him, he said. They paid for his Formula BMW, GP2, F2 and all the other junior races and series he drove in. And I think I'm going to take that a step further, which of course Marko did not speak about. So Red Bull Racing does have the hand that feeds their drivers, but that very hand can slap their drivers, as we've seen in the past as well.
Or demote their drivers. Yeah, I'm sure that's on Carlos Sainz's mind too. Anyway, Red Bull Racing, the problem of plenty as far as their driver pipeline goes. It's going to be interesting how they deal with this issue.
And it's going to be interesting to see how Carlos Sainz deals with this issue. Let's remember he has a World Rally Championship of her dad, who of course has extremely high ambitions and aspirations for him. And somewhere I wonder, and I remember reading about this, Max Verstappen to Ferrari rumors, could they come from Carlos Sainz's camp? And if that's true, it's just strange and funny at the same time.
Yeah, that's hilarious. But Kunal, one thing is for sure, the driver's silly season this year is going to be bloody unpredictable and I think really interesting compared to all the other years that we've seen lately, because suddenly so many drivers are available.
And it'll actually be a bit like the race in Baku this year, Anything could happen.
I think in the entire Red Bull Racing equation, the only driver that seems genuinely happy is Ricciardo. He did his pre-race interview in Austria where he said he wanted to win 5 F1 races and retire. So, yeah, he's retiring. What a cool guy he is.
Yes, 5 podiums, which includes a win. And I can't remember if we actually had 5 shoey moments on the podium as well. Maybe we should ask a certain Valtteri Bottas.
I'm sorry, the shoeys are no longer fun.
So Ricciardo has scored more points in the last 7 races than any other driver. So he is bound to be very, very happy, and it shows in his persona.
And in Austria, like Karun Chandok pointed out, it was a perfectly normal and dry race, and Ricciardo finished 6 seconds off the winning car. So this is after finishing some minute and something off at the start of the season. So obviously Red Bull Racing is making good progress.
Yes, but they have actually written off the 2017 championship campaign. They're saying they'll enjoy it, but they know they cannot win it.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. And so much so for Ricciardo, because he's gone and claimed after Austria that he is in contention for the World Drivers' Championship too. He's on a real high, huh, Kunal?
Yes, Mr. Ricciardo, that's a little too far-fetched. Because I also think what's far-fetched is everyone saying that Valtteri Bottas is possibly in the running for the Drivers' Championship as well. I mean, what are people thinking?
I think this is just to mess with Lewis Hamilton's head.
But the strange thing is a lot of these Valtteri Bottas for the Drivers' Championship came from British media. So I don't know why they would go and mess with Lewis's head just before the British Grand Prix.
I have no idea. But honestly, before we go there, I'm going to offer a round of applause to Valtteri Bottas, his second victory. Both his victories have actually come with Vettel snapping at his gearbox, literally. So let's clap for Valtteri.
Bottas finally strung, or I wouldn't say finally, he strung a perfect weekend together. This included a superhuman start on the Sunday. And of course, he had pole on the Saturday as well.
I cannot get over his superhuman start. I've been playing, these reflexes game that check your reflex and see how fast you can start. And I've been trying to match Valtteri, and it's damn difficult without being in a car. Anyway, Bottas drove a calm and composed race to victory, and he did really well to hold off Vettel. So basically, he's 15 points behind Lewis Hamilton and 35 points behind Vettel. If Vettel gets into trouble and Bottas wins that race, well, Kunal, you never know what could happen.
That's an interesting scenario that most people might not have thought of. But Drivers' Championship or not, I think Valtteri Bottas has done enough to deserve a contract extension, at least for a year. So we know he's notched 2 wins to Hamilton's 3 this year. And like Graham of Talking About F1 tweeted, if Bottas had not had his DNF in Spain, and let's remember he's the only Mercedes driver to have had a DNF this season yet, Bottas would have been on equal points to Lewis Hamilton in the Drivers' Championship.
Yes, and for Hamilton, so he's had car and team issues for the second race in a row. So obviously his loose headrest in Baku. And in Austria, he had brake issues and then a gearbox change. So tough times.
It might feel strange for him to actually be the faster driver in the fastest car on the grid and not be leading the Drivers' Championship. Let's remember he trails Vettel by 20 points. So Mercedes tried hard to make Hamilton's strategy work in Austria. This is after he started P8 thanks to that gearbox penalty. But the reverse of what they planned happened. The Pirelli tires actually got faster as they wore down. And that's what we call as negative degradation. And this is an area that I would, urge the FIA and the FOM to look into, especially Ross Brawn, because Austria could have been classified as a boring race had the top 4 not chased each other down the way they did in the last 20 laps. And what Formula 1 needs is that the variance between the 2 tire compounds should be higher, and that would allow different tire strategies to actually come into play.
So in Austria, we had the inconsistent FIA back in action. Kunal, it was very funny because Daniil Kvyat, he did a torpedo thing again. But he only got 2 penalty points and a drive-through penalty. And I remember that Romain Grosjean did something very similar in Spa in 2012. And he got a race ban.
Yes, I remember in this Tinder age, Romain Grosjean swiped left onto the title contenders in Spa. And I wonder if Daniil Kvyat had taken our title contenders, would he have gotten a race ban from the FIA? And I also think that Red Bull Racing might not let him off as leniently as the FIA did, although Christian Horner said that they want him for 2018.
Or so he said.
The other inconsistent act by the FIA, also a very embarrassing act by Formula One, was when Chase Carey was taken out on a demo lap in the 1981 Le Mans winning Porsche. And he actually went onto that lap without a racing helmet.
Very strange, no?
Yeah,
What are they doing?
Yeah, they missed another checks and balances thing, I guess.
So Kunal, coming to my favorite part of the episode, the one driver who everyone wants for 2018. Okay, everyone except Mercedes and Ferrari, and that's Fernando Alonso. So in fact, on the Ferrari front, Marchioni said that they would not be interested in Alonso, but Alonso insists that Ferrari remains an option for 2018. It's very funny.
Very strange and funny. So now the Haas Formula One team has thrown their hat into the ring, and they're saying that they have a good car and that could possibly interest Fernando Alonso as well. Let's remember they're on the latest spec of the Ferrari engine. And I personally think that given how much in demand Fernando is, he could drive and he should drive a few races for every midfield team next year. So he should do 5 races for Williams, 5 races for Haas, and so on. And Williams anyway need an older driver for Martini, as we know. That's why they brought Massa back from his shortest retirement ever. And I'd love to see what Force India and Alonso could do together. It would be a phenomenal combination.
The only problem is that Force India will need to make space on their car for the sponsors that Alonso would attract. And we know how crowded it is for them there.
The problem of plenty for Force India as well.
Yeah. And Kunal, we know that Gene Haas is American. I'm wondering if Alonso's popularity after his Indy run and his popularity with the American audiences is what got Haas interested.
Yeah, so if not the speed, at least his personality and his interest in the audience. And there's also rumors that Honda could be out to boot Alonso from McLaren. So the battle is on. Can Alonso throw out Honda from McLaren, or can Honda throw out Alonso from McLaren? And I'm not sure which way McLaren would benefit, to be honest.
This is like civil war going on down there. If Honda throws out Alonso, I think both McLaren and they'll be able to save enough money to invest in their car, actually. And hey, by the way, Kunal, there's news that Honda might pull out of their engine supply deal with Sauber. And I'm wondering if Honda is thinking of pulling out of Formula One altogether. Because there's also news that McLaren is in talks with Ferrari for their engines.
Frankly, I'm not surprised that there would be no takers for Honda's current power unit. In fact, I was surprised when Sauber actually signed up with Honda in the first place.
Yeah, we made a lot of fun of that.
This also then means that Sauber will go back or could go back to being a Ferrari B team. Now that I think of it, had they taken the Honda engines next year, they would have been a Honda C team, because right now McLaren is clearly the Honda B team on the grid.
And McLaren and Ferrari, two of the sport's biggest rivals. Kunal, I will be highly surprised if they join forces. Actually, I'm going to rephrase that. Highly surprised.
This reminds me of what Ross Brawn said about the sport wanting to look into how to help new engine manufacturers to find their feet, which is very crucial in this new complex and expensive hybrid era, and see if they can help them to win races by their third year in the sport.
Well, if I were Honda, then Kunal, I would be protesting, because 3 years in Formula One and they are barely finishing races. McLaren's fortunes, I think, will also depend on who will power them next year. And this will dictate their driver lineup, obviously.
Which reminds me that there was a strange McLaren man, or there is going to be a strange McLaren man driving a Formula One car later this month. So Zach Brown, the CEO, or I can't remember his designation, he is participating in the FIA Masters event and he'll be driving a Formula One car. And frankly, Zach, I think you're getting a little too ambitious. You should leave the driving for all the Alonso type of drivers to do for next season.
And Believe it or not, Zach Brown is not going to be driving a McLaren. He is going to be driving a Williams car. It's so weird. It's like even Zach Brown does not want to drive a McLaren.
So the car that he's going to be driving is the 1980 Williams Cosworth car, which Alan Jones won the Silverstone Grand Prix in. And we actually have had buzz about the China F1 racing team joining the grid in 2019. Now there's rumors about an Italian F1 team joining the grid. Not by that name, of course.
That sounds great. And Kunal, honestly, I'd love to see more cars on track. Just that they should be competitive.
Ross Brawn to the rescue.
I also hope that they're going to be innovative in their naming, rather than just Chinese team and Italian team.
And whatever it is that they'll try, I think the Italian team will always be Italy's B team, because it would be impossible to take Ferrari's emotional place in the hearts of the Italian fans.
I agree. And some really exciting news. So Kubica's return seems 80 to 90% possible. And that's something that Renault and Kubica have said. So basically, they'll be doing a thorough evaluation test sometime soon. And I'm waiting for that.
And I can only imagine this. So Renault will do all the evaluation tests, and then Ferrari will come and hire Kubica in place of Raikkonen. That would be pure evil, but why not? I think it'll be a brilliant story for the sport.
Yeah, like such a coup, right? Kunal, before we move to Silverstone, any final thoughts on Austria?
Yes, I'd like to talk about Ferrari. We've been talking of how Kubica or whoever else should replace Raikkonen next season, and Sergio Marchionne actually called Raikkonen a laggard. Which is a bit strange because from the way I see it, Ferrari actually forgot that they had to pit Raikkonen in Austria. And are Ferrari seeking Raikkonen's efforts in closing the gap to Mercedes in the Constructors' Championship? Or are Ferrari seeking Raikkonen's help in helping Sebastian Vettel win his 5th Drivers' Championship? So the answer is of course apparent, but Ferrari should make it clear for Raikkonen and their fans.
And honestly, this was very clear that by delaying Raikkonen's pit stop, Ferrari wanted him to slow down Bottas and, help Vettel. Kunal, all I'm going to say is, as a Kimi Raikkonen fan, it's just really upsetting to see Ferrari deal with Raikkonen in this manner. In what is possibly his last season in the sport, Poor guy.
I really hope not. And the other positive from Austria was Lance Stroll, and surprising I'm saying that, but I really am beginning to like the guy. And we know that Williams had a double elimination in Q1, and they still managed a double points finish in the race. So now usually, had this happened, it would have been Felipe Massa who would have used his experience and his speed to get into the points. And, Lance Stroll would have been languishing somewhere at the bottom. However, in Austria, Lance Stroll also made it to the point scoring finish.
That was a phenomenal drive, actually. And I think this connects to the talk of momentum that, you keep making. It's really nice to see Lance Stroll settling down in Formula One. Obviously, it's taken a lot of time and a lot of jokes, but I think it's finally happened. So, Kunal, over to Silverstone. Strangely, there are talks that the British Grand Prix might move to another venue post-2019. And I think this is strange because they've decided this week to bring up this matter. This is actually the week leading into the race, and now they're talking about how there may not be a race going forward.
Yeah, I can't understand the British humor anyway. But So Silverstone and Formula One have had a troubled financial relationship for the last many decades, and there have been bailouts and pull-out threats, and however, the race has finally prevailed. So I'm hoping that the same thing comes around this time too.
Yeah, and McLaren has suggested that Formula One should purchase Silverstone, the circuit. Unfortunately, Kunal, I don't have too much confidence in McLaren's Formula One decisions these days. So I would advise Formula One to not bother acting on it at all.
The only silver lining in this dark cloud could be that if Silverstone does go away, there's talk of a road race coming through London, and that could be an exciting prospect as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited at the thought of that. That also reminds me, so Formula One had kept the road promotional drive in London a big secret until just 2 days before the event. But good work by Liberty Media again, and getting cars and drivers closer to the fans, critical thing that they're pulling off so wonderfully.
Yeah, so for the future, I'm going to just term such road demonstrations by Formula One as Formula One doing what Formula E does.
I also saw this really interesting Airbnb Williams promotion. So it seems you can actually spend the night in the Williams garage at Silverstone. And that's damn interesting, yeah?
Yeah, I don't know why we didn't apply for this. It's been in our Silverstone notes ever since. But it's so interesting to see teams pushing their monetization of assets to the limits as well. And this is what I absolutely love Formula One for. And at Silverstone, we in fact are also going to see the FIA push the limits of driver safety. So the FIA Shield, which has been under intense discussions, will be tested. It'll actually be on a Ferrari. So do look out for the pictures on our Facebook and Google Plus page in the next couple of days.
Right, so time for predictions, Kunal. Predictions for the British Grand Prix.
I think that Ferrari are a little closer to Mercedes in Austria, but they know that they're still doing the chasing. And having said that, I think it's going to be hammer time in Silverstone, followed by a Sebastian Vettel. And I really hope Raikkonen finishes ahead of Bottas because he needs a few very strong finishes.
I'm actually going to agree with you. I really think that it's going to be Hamilton's time to shine at home in front of the British crowds. And this is a circuit he loves. So yes, he's going to be the man to beat.
Thank you so much for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you post the Silverstone race. We absolutely love the month of July because there are 3 races this season. And do remember to subscribe to us on iTunes and Audio Boom for your weekly dose of Formula One humor. Adios.
Wendy's Baconator is the ultimate bacon cheeseburger that puts all other cheeseburgers to cheeseburger shame. And now we're bringing that same big bacon energy to shake up and wake up your breakfast with the Breakfast Baconator. Stacked with the fresh cracked egg, sausage, cheese, and bacon. And right now, you can get a free Breakfast Baconator with purchase in the Wendy's app. So get to Wendy's and always be baconating. We got you.
Offer available at participating U.S. Wendy's for a limited time during breakfast hours only. Offer must be redeemed via the app. Account registration required.